Hey guys, Dylan from the Geek Duo here, and today I'll be bringing you my reaction to Shadowhunters Season 4, Episode 11, or 321, titled Alliance. The Shadowhunters discover a rune that will allow them to enter Edom, where they and their downworlder allies hope to find Magnus and free him. So, I am curious about this episode because, as I said in the last one, there was a point during the story where Magnus did end up trapped in Edom. However, everything around this is completely different. And the title of this episode has some implications that I think I may have spoken about before, or I may have decided to skip over that because they didn't take that from when it was meant to be, so I'll wait to see where this episode goes before I touch upon that. But I'm guessing by downworlder allies they're meaning Maya, possibly Luke, Simon. That's it, really. So, yeah, I want. But, I mean, could also, I guess, bring Sealy's because Sebastian is actively working against them, and the Sealys are all about loyalty, but also about being on the surviving side no matter what. So, yeah, we'll see. Let's get this started in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh yeah, I forget if I mentioned that Sebastian was not the one who had wings in the book. But also, no one had wings in the book before this show was ended, so that's just another case of the books eventually mirroring the show. Yeah, that sounds like the silly queen. Oh, so she's not the first. Well, as I said, they need to be on the side no matter what. I mean, to be fair, she did seem more like interested in him after he kidnapped her. Like they showed that in the previously on, so that isn't coming from nowhere, but it does feel a little rushed. I mean, it didn't really do much. I've thought this a few times, but it is very interesting that they haven't utilized Robert since the separation. Like he showed up a few times in the books, but they've given all of it to Maris. What are you doing back in Eden? Eden. Uh, I mean, it's a great look of incredulity. How did she exactly end up back here with, um, and what happened to Kane? So Magnus has basically evolved to the power of a Prince of Hell, I guess. I didn't talk about how his death differed from the book in the last episode, now did I? Why are they curing Luke? Gonna do what I've been trying to do the last few days. I do wonder if they are going to do the same with this that they did in the final book. Oh, I guess that makes sense. Okay. A little bit of a deviation, but. Huh. I was about to say, how many other warlocks would he know? Chameleon? Okay, I wasn't expecting Helen to be at the Institute. It's Downworlders. Okay. Just make sure you've actually learned from. God damn it. Okay, she is telling them. His face. I'm sorry. What? Because that goes completely against something he explicitly says in the book, and I know I touched upon this. See, this is where I wish they could have introduced Emma, because she's actually the one who helps them, tells them about Edom being the world of Lilith, because they didn't know that. They just thought it was another name for hell. Okay, I was correct. I, I can really feel they're trying to cram as much in to this ending as possible, but it is making some things feel a little bit rushed. Okay. Jace never had any controllable offensive abilities. Okay. I'll just be glad you don't have to get a needle one. So which one got the Fae? Which one got the Warlock? Okay, I figured Alec would get the Warlock. You know, I don't think Alec could actually use magic when they had the rune in the book. But then again, what point would there have been of binding warlocks? So did everyone get it split up with their partners? No, it's the nature of Edom. Maybe use your warlock abilities. You can't lie. Well, that's an interesting side effect. Anyway, so I don't forget again, when they were in Edom, it wasn't so much that runes didn't work, it was that they faded a hell of a lot quicker. Like a farsight rune would last a couple seconds, an energy rune maybe a couple minutes. Aratzes were pretty much useless. No, they given him his white hair. He does look a little more gaunt then. You took them from Wrangle? It's it is very weird having Meliorn here, like actively participating in everything. Well, why'd you shave him? You are a Shadowhunter again. Hmm. I won't be a spy, but I will openly advocate for the download in that. You know, sillies can keep their mouths shut. Ah, Okay, well, I guess that's our setup for the finale. Um, there was a lot of things in this episode. So, straight up, Alliance Rune, pulled straight from the book. The, it's a way to link a Shadowhunter and a Downworlder. Give the Downworlder some access to the Nephilim runes, like the abilities granted on the one they are bonded with, and also give the Shadowhunter some access to the Downworlder abilities, such as the speed of vampires, the strength of werewolves, the fighting style of the Fairfolk. I forget what the Warlocks granted, but I don't think it was magic. But once again, this comes from the Valentine War, not the other one. This is what they did when faced with the army that of demons that Valentine commanded and sent against Idris. Clary got up in front of the council. They'd advocated to let the Downworlders into Alicante to help them because Simon and Raphael brought the vampires, Myra and Luke brought the wolves from Brosselin, Magnus brought the warlocks, Malion brought the Fairfolk possession at the word of the Queen, and it was basically, we'll help you fight this war if you let us in to Idris before sundown. Like, you drop these wards, we know that you're accepting our help officially, and we'll help you with this war. And it got down to basically Valentine was attacking before they thought they were going to. He projected into the council room, killed Aldertree, and I think the acting consul, not acting consul, he killed the consul as well. And so Clary got up and basically all the high ranking said, fine, drop the wards, bring them in. Clary gets a vision of the rune, tells everyone about it, links them all up. She also secretly puts the mark of Cain on Simon before going out to the war. Meanwhile, she and the others go do their own thing for the night. Like, they try and hunt down Jace, they try and find Valentine and all that. That was how it happened in the book. To use it as a way to survive Edom, I can understand. Also, it does bring in a reason to have these supplementary Downworlder representatives on the trip with them. It's just very interesting because there was no need for them to do this in the book. Like, they could just survive Edom because it's basically a dead Earth. Yeah, this is where we learn that there's alternate timelines and worlds and basically parallel Earths and that, because Edom is actually a version of Earth where Jonathan Shadowhunter refused the help of Downworlders back when he was forming the first Shadowhunters. Like, the main keep of Edom is a dark version of the Guard in English, in Idris. Basically, it's got the town around, the Guard on the hill, all that. That's all still featured in Edom. It's just that because he never accepted the Downworlders' help, got overrun by the demons and that, and they killed the world. Like, darkened the sun, killed all the plant life and everything. And because there was now no longer any angel presence on this world, it meant that any visiting Shadowhunter would lose the powers of the angel while they were there. Their runes would fade much faster. So there wasn't the whole, it's a demonic world, so it's poisonous to those without demon blood. But also, it was effectively poisoning the Shadowhunters by restricting their access to their abilities. Whereas this one actually seems more akin to the way in which Tartarus is described in the Percy Jackson series. During House of Hades, when we actually see it, it's basically a poisonous landscape that's completely barren, filled with monsters, and all that. Is basically a mixture of these two versions of Eden, the book and the show one. So, yeah. But as it happened originally, in book 6, there was a meeting of the Downworlder representatives of the Clave. Because after the First War, the new consul and new Inquisitor agreed, so that's Gia Penhallow and Robert Lightwood, agreed that there would be a representative from each of the Downworlder factions on the council to advocate for Downworlder rights and keep the Clave in check for any accidental insults that may be perceived. There was Magnus Bane, Raphael, Luke. No, was it Luke? It may have been Luke. If not, I can't remember who the werewolf one is. And it was Maliorn. And after the war, the Silly Queen actually came up to Clary and she's like, "Hey, can you advocate for Maliorn because of all the help I've given you?" And Clary's like, "Fuck you. You're not a bitch. You've done nothing but been a hindrance to me and my friends this entire time. I'm not doing any favors for you." And Maliorn still got on the council as a representative of the fair folk, but I thought it was funny to mention that. But yeah, it then happened that there was a dinner amongst the council representatives, and Jocelyn's there because it was done at the place they were staying at, like her and Luke. And yeah, however, because of that, they were all there, and all the council representatives and Jocelyn were kidnapped by Sebastian's forces and taken to Edom. And yeah, that's why I say it's weird for some of these characters to actively be there. And also why I'm saying that Magnus did end up in Edom and they had to go save him. But it was completely different circumstances. There's also the fact that, as I said, not much was known about Edom, to the point that they thought it was just another name for hell. Until Emma Carstairs, who was visiting there because all of the... she was basically staying with her friends at the LA Institute, that being the Blackthorns, while her parents were on mission. And then things happened and the kids had to be emergently sent to Idris. And yeah, so she'd overheard in the council meeting, because she was eavesdropping, about how the Downworlders had been taken to Edom and there was no plans to get them back because they wanted to fortify Idris, prepare for Sebastian's attack. They didn't have time to send for the representatives. So she goes and says, "Hey, there's actually some books at the LA Institute that I read through while I'm there that say give you information about Edom, saying it is the home of Lilith. It is not another, it is a different realm. And they decide, okay, we'll pass through the Sealy Court. This is when they actually find out about the whole Sealy Queen is allied with Jonathan and everything. And then, so they actually beat her in a fight and say, hey, we'll let you live if you get us to Edom, and do not tell Sebastian about us entering that place. Basically, as a way of getting there without Sebastian being warned. To which the Silly Queen agrees. However, they didn't cover all their bases because they said nothing. They didn't make her agree to say that they hadn't just left the realm of fairy. So she calls up Sebastian, who knows about the link between fairy and Edom because he's travelled it before, and she's like, hey, just so you know, your sister, your brother, and their friends, they just left my court. So he knew they were coming anyway. But yeah, that's how it happened in the book. I am being intentionally vague about certain parts because I want to see how the finale plays out. But there's also the fact that it wasn't Isabel who had the heavenly fire. It was Jace. He was the one who was stabbed with Glorious, and the heavenly fire transferred from the sword into him. So I can understand how it worked with Isabel. Like, the part that transferred into Clary got burned away with the demonic essence that was inside her. Okay, that makes sense. Whereas Isabel has nothing demonic to burn the fire, so it just sort of stays. That I understand. I do wonder if they're going to go the way they did in the book, which I don't actually know how they could, given where everyone's situated. So, who knows? Final thing I want to touch upon, and I should have done this in the last one. Or was it the one before that Jordan died? It wasn't vampires or silver poisoning or anything that killed him. He was directly killed by Sebastian. Because Sebastian led an attack on the Praetor. He knew that they were a threat, and so he led his armies there while Jordan and Maya were there at the compound, and only a couple people survived. Maya was intentionally left alive so that she could give the downworld Sebastian's message of, if you ally with the Shadowhunters, this is going to happen to you. Which then led into the whole, the wolves not wanting to join the battle, the vampires under Maureen's rule saying, we're not going to join either. Maureen saying, hey, let's join up with Sebastian. So Lily and Maya had the whole inject Maya with holy water, get her to make a agreement with Maureen where she has to drink her blood to seal the pact, kills her, okay. Vampires are now under Lily's control, so we'll join the fight. The guy from the Praetor who survived is trying to take over Luke's old clan in New York, so Maya then has to challenge him for Alpha, because Bat was standing second when Luke is in Alicante. And so the act of challenging for Alpha is you can issue a challenge, they accept, until first blood is drawn, you can back out of the challenge. But once first blood is drawn, then there's nothing you can do. The fight has to go through to the death. So the Praetor, being much more skilled in fighting, he basically gets nearly completely incapacitated until Maya steps in and challenges him for the position of Alpha. And she's like, look, he's already dead. If you don't think you can take this battle, then fine. Then he knows that if he doesn't accept, the wolves won't see him as strong, and that can lead to issues. So he's like, yeah, sure, fine, I'll fight you too. He starts winning. She plays dirty, claws into both of his eyes, kills him. She's now alpha of the pack, leads the wolves, and that. But yeah, so it's actually because Sebastian killed Jordan that solidified the fact that the wolves and the vampires were going to fight against him. And as we know, the Queen was on his side, so... Yeah, I'm interested to see where things may be going with those who are left outside of Eden. Because Lorenzo was not a character in the book. His presence is wholly new. Meliorn was a council representative. So he wasn't in Edom, like fighting through Edom or anything. It was Simon, Isabel, Alec, Clary, Jace. Yeah. So those two being there could add a very interesting spin on it. But we'll see how things go in the finale. Because there's also another player on the board who wasn't there, that being Lilith. Like, they went into Edom to save the council representatives and stop Sebastian. Sebastian's off doing his own thing with the Silly Queen. Lilith is around. Yeah, so there's a lot of differences to take into account with the finale. But I guess we'll have to wait for next week. I'll catch you in the next one.